Google has just built a secret animation into its search engine for one soccer player. Search Erling Haaland and 7 cartoon Vikings row a longboat across your screen, drumbeat and all. Haaland is Norway's 25-year-old striker, 7 goals in 4 games at this World Cup. And on Thursday, he posted 5 words to 12.5 million followers. Search my name on Google. But the man who actually caused this is not Haaland. He is a fan you have never heard of, and what he admits he did changes everything. First, the thing itself. Per latest Lee, searching Haaland's name or the phrase Viking Row triggers a party popper icon. Click it, and 7 cartoon Vikings carrying Norwegian flags row a longboat across your screen. Yahoo Sports says there is even a thumping drum sound built in, leading into the RO that fans shout. A search engine building a fan chant into its product mid-tournament. So what is the Viking Row? Per FIFA, at every Norway match, thousands of supporters sit down on the ground in perfect unison and mimic pulling the oars of a Viking longship, chanting row, the Norwegian word for row. It starts with a horn. An actual Norse horn, the Gjallar horn, tells the crowd to get into position, then a drum sets the pace. Picture an entire stadium section rowing an invisible boat. That is it. That is the whole thing. And here is the reframe. You assume that is 1,000 years of Norse heritage passed down through the fjords. It is not. According to ESPN, the whole thing was invented in a bar less than 6 months ago by one man. His name is Ole Froystad from Sunmore, known online now as Mr. Row. He sat down with a notepad full of chant ideas, met a supporters club guy named Torstein Hamron, and pitched them one by one. Froystad told ESPN, and I quote, "I talked to them through all of them, but I'm like, this one is like the one. 6 months, one notepad, one guy. And he engineered it on purpose." Froystad told ESPN exactly what he was building. Quote, "I wanted it to be short. I wanted it to be easy. I wanted it to be hard. I wanted to have culture in it, and I wanted it to have a massive impact." Read that again? He was not stumbling into a tradition. He was designing a viral product with a stated goal of putting his country on the football map. Then he did it, and Google put it in the search engine. The scale of what he built is where it gets absurd. The chant has escaped soccer entirely. Norwegian fans rode on an escalator in Boston's South Station. They rode in Times Square. They rode at a New York Mets baseball game at Citi Field next to the mascots. Over 15,000 people rode on the main street in Oslo outside the royal palace. The Norwegian parliament rode in its own chamber. The royal family joined in. And the Norwegian Armed Forces posted a video of a Royal Norwegian Air Force pilot doing the Viking Row from inside the cockpit of an F-35 fighter jet. It even hijacked golf. Per ESPN, rowers turned up at a PGA Tour event, the Travelers Championship, and interrupted the polite golf claps with the chant. Norwegian golfer Viktor Hovland called the chants electric. He then won the playoff over Scotty Scheffler, the best golfer on the planet. A soccer chant invented in a bar in December, helping decide a golf tournament in America. Now for the part that gets lost. The Google Easter egg is attached to Haaland's name. But per Yahoo, the players only do the chant because Haaland pushed for it. It belonged to the fans first. Captain Martin Odegaard is the one banging the drum on the pitch. And the man who made it, Froystad, does not get his name searched by 12.5 million people. So ask yourself who really owns a moment like this. The superstar who amplified it, or the fan in the stands who built it? Speaking of that drum, Torstein Hamron, the supporter who plays it, is a museum coordinator. He explained his method to FIFA. Quote, "I stand in front of the stand with my drum. I strike it twice, then we begin the chant. It's the pauses that build all the tension before the explosion. And then he said the line that tells you what this run actually means. I was only 2 years old when Norway last qualified, he said. I've waited my whole life for this moment. Norway had not been at a World Cup in 28 years. A country of 5.6 million people back on the biggest stage in sport after almost 3 decades of nothing. And they have been dangerous. Norway beat Iraq 4-1, beat Senegal 3-2, lost only to France, then knocked out Ivory Coast. And on July 5th, they did the impossible. They beat Brazil, 5-time world champions, 2-1, with Haaland scoring twice. Haaland has gained almost 15 million Instagram followers during this tournament alone, and he is chasing the Golden Boot, the award for the tournament's top scorer, trailing only Lionel Messi. But here is the inconvenient truth nobody mentions, and it comes from inside the camp. Norway's own manager, Ståle Solbakken, has already scheduled the funeral. After the Senegal win, he said, quote, "It's fun for the fans. We will not be rowing after the World Cup, but this can be a gimmick during the tournament." A gimmick. The biggest fan phenomenon in world sport, and the boss calls it a gimmick with an expiry date. And here's the twist. Froystad and Hamron agree with him. They think it may not survive the tournament either. Froystad already has another 14 chants sitting on that notepad. Which brings us to today. Norway play England in the quarterfinal in Miami, and the numbers are brutal. England are favored at just over 50%. Norway sit at 24%. Norway have never been this far, and if they lose, the boats stop rowing, the drum goes quiet, and the greatest fan invention of this World Cup dies within hours of Google immortalizing it. So the entire thing, the parliament, the fighter jet, the search engine, all of it, now rests on 90 minutes against England. One game. And Mr. Row Row has 14 more chants waiting for a tournament Norway might not reach again for another 28 years.